Greetings, my lords and ladies, and welcome to Behind the Thrones, the show where we explore the crucial aspects of production in the creation of Game of Thrones. Today, we'll get the bigger picture and break down cinematography and camera department with our guest, Bruce Monarch.
It's great to see you, Brian.
Great to see you, as always. From towering crane shots to dolly tracks laid across mountains, or just strapping a camera to any old thing lying around, the camera department goes to any length to get the shot. So today, Bruce is going to walk us through how they get some of those most iconic shots and to really set the tone. Now, Bruce, how does the director of photography set the tone for the show as expansive as Game of Thrones?
Well, a lot can be told with a few images and very little dialogue. This can be seen in the cold open of Season 1, Episode 1, where we really define what you're going to be seeing in Game of Thrones and where things are going. In the cold open of Episode 1 in Season 1 of Game of Thrones, we set the tone with a shot of 3 knights through a black barred gate. This is followed by a series of shots that establish the ominous emptiness of the north and then the massive epicness of the wall. Soon after, this is juxtaposed with shots of a member of the Night's Watch seeing a group of dismembered bodies. However, in order to tell the story in a way that builds tone over time, rather than a single shot of all of the bodies at once, it shows a series of shots as he sees each individual body building up into the bodies formed into some sort of strange pattern. And as he turns to run, he immediately turns into a dead child pinned to a tree. This shot is then, they stay on this shot for a short period of time where we really take in the dead girl's body. This sets the tone of brutality, emptiness, loneliness, terror, and the show's willingness to kill even children. And I think that very clearly, before even the credits roll in the first episode, shows us what we're going to be seeing on Game of Thrones. That
really was a dramatic shot. I am not afraid to admit I jumped a little when they exposed the poor girl's body. In Episode 1, Season 1, we also get an introduction to a lot of the places we'll be visiting throughout the entire series. Now, how can the director of photography kind of explain to the audience what these places are about without having a lot of dialogue?
Most shows use establishing shots to show us what places are like. For example, our first sight of Winterfell, we see it through fog and mist and heavy smoke with a night riding by. We see rolling hills and sort of empty green plains. We know that this city and castle are in the middle of nowhere, sort of disconnected, but that these are strong knightly people with strong defenses and towers.
Definitely. They're definitely rooted in that mysticism that kind of comes up later, so you can kind of get a feel for what the people of this place are like, yeah.
And then only a few minutes later, we then see King's Landing, which is much more epic and a high fantasy look. We see the Red Keep, its immense size, even compared to the giant city next to it. And it's all along the ocean, which implies beauty and trade and wealth.
Definitely a lot more hustle and bustle than the muddy streets of Winterfell. That's great that they're able to kind of explain so much about a place without actually having to explain so much about a place. Now, all these epic shots seem to take a lot of planning and work to capture. How exactly do they go about getting all these great shots?
Well, there's a variety of ways that you can do shots. Everything from setting up a simple tripod to compositing multiple images, or if you want movement, which most shows, movement tells a lot in a story. We'll use things like jibs and cranes in order to capture very specific, poignant moments. And in addition, sometimes they'll have to use special tricks like wires or mounting cameras on vehicles in order to get the speed they need for certain shots.
Like when trying to capture a joust.
Like a joust.
It's really cool shots, and it is really impressive. You always wonder, how do they get the camera guy to run that fast in front of the horse, and then you realize that's probably not how they actually do that.
But sometimes you are able to get the individual cameraman holding the camera. And this is very useful and can get to a really cool feel in something like, say, a fight, where the cameraman can get in, get out, move around, and you get a very human feeling to the movement and motion of the camera in fight choreography.
Now, in a lot of the shots, especially when we go and we visit the Dothraki, we get a lot of different shots from, it seems, improbable angles and stuff, but it really helps to set up how impressive these people are. Now, how do they go about doing something like that?
Many times, and especially on shows like Game of Thrones, they're able to use multiple cameras to capture a single event, which then allows them to get all sorts of interesting and different shots while shooting much more efficiently. In addition, Game of Thrones, while they were shooting, actually shot with 2 separate units in different places at the same time so that they could be moving that much faster. In fact, in the 3rd season, they decided to increase speed even more and added a 3rd unit.
Now, did these units possibly have team names?
Yes, Ryan. The names, the 2 original units were designated Dragon and Wolf. The 3rd unit was designated Raven in Season 3, but unfortunately they cut it for Season 4.
Oh, of course that's the one I wanted to be part of. Yeah. Thank you so much to our guest Bruce for coming in and help us understand the bigger picture of Game of Thrones. Be sure to follow Bruce to check out more of his work and be on the lookout for his new hit series Pen and Paper and Laser Guns. It's as awesome as it sounds. I'm your host, Brian Forrest. Thank you for joining us, and we'll see you next time we go Behind the Thrones.